yet, but I have been getting withdrawal symptoms from being away from GB News, viewers, listeners, for so long. But what a day to come back, eh? So much news going around. So, coming up, as chaos grips the Labour Party and leaves Sir Keir Starmer on the precipice of a full-scale civil war, I'll be asking, is it time the Prime Minister just stepped aside? Sensational news this morning too. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy has thrown Keir Starmer under the bus, joining Angela Rayner in saying he warned the Prime Minister not to appoint Mandelson. And the other bombshell today is that Mandelson was paid £55,000 of taxpayers' money after Starmer sacked him. But if this woman, Angela Rayner, gets the keys to number 10, will it crash the economy, as some are saying, and could it force a general election? Meanwhile, brand new homes for asylum seekers, apparently. A GB News investigation has found that 20 councils have already expressed their interest in housing asylum seekers in newly revamped council houses. Is it happening in your area, and is it fair? And if you haven't noticed, the Winter Olympics is on. It's in Milan, and Britain's Bruce Mutt and Jen Dodds have reached the mixed curling semi-finals. But there's been quite a few protests and quite a bit of politics managing to overshadow the Winter Olympics. We'll get stuck into that. But of course, we are going to go to your latest news headlines with Bethany.
Good morning. Your top stories at 1 minute past 11. Lord Mandelson is facing calls to hand back the payoff he received after he was sacked as ambassador to the US. The Foreign Office is reviewing the sum, which could be worth tens of thousands of pounds. The former Labour peer lost his role in September over his relationship with the paedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. The Prime Minister... apologies. The Prime Minister's allies have said he should give the taxpayer-funded handout back or donate it to a victims' charity. The Work and Pensions Secretary, Pat McFadden, has defended the Prime Minister.
I think the Prime Minister's acted in good faith throughout. I think Peter Mandelson has put him in a very bad position. When more information came to light last September, he very quickly fired Peter Mandelson. He's horrified by the revelations of the past week. He's apologised to the victims of this, and rightly so. So I think, you know, we will see more when all these vetting documents are published, as I hope they are very soon.
But Alex Burghardt says the Prime Minister should be embarrassed.
It's been Kemi's questioning in September that led to Mandelson being fired. It was her questioning on Wednesday that led to everyone finding out for the first time exactly what the Prime Minister had known about Mandelson's ongoing relationship with Epstein. It has been Conservative opposition that has pushed this every single step of the way and has led to the Prime Minister being more deeply embarrassed by a political scandal than anyone can really remember in living memory.
And just to say, Lord Mandelson has not been arrested and that he denies any wrongdoing. In other news, police in Italy have fired tear gas and water cannons at protesters near the Winter Olympics venue. It's after around 100 people wearing hoods and scarves threw firecrackers, smoke bombs and bottles at the officers. The main demonstration saw around 10,000 take to the streets in Milan to protest against the environmental and economic impact of the Games. Similar disruption was caused half a mile from the Olympic Village, where 1,500 athletes were staying. An American news presenter whose mother went missing from her home 8 days ago has told the people who kidnapped her she will pay their ransom demands. Police believe Savannah Guthrie's 84-year-old mother, Nancy, was abducted from her home in Arizona, but they have not identified any suspects. Earlier this week, the FBI offered a $50,000 reward for information. According to TMZ, the kidnappers are demanding millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency.
We received your message and we understand. This is very valuable to us and we will pay.
And voters in Japan are braving 28 inches of snow to cast their ballot in a snap election called just 2 weeks ago. Japan's first female Prime Minister, Sanae Takaichi, is hoping to secure a clear mandate for the Liberal Democratic Party, which has ruled the country for most of the last 70 years. Financial scandal cost her predecessor his job and led to the party losing control of both chambers of Parliament last year. You're up to date. Let's get back to Emily.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thanks, Bethany. Well, if you missed it, speaking to GB News earlier this morning, Pat McFadden from the government defended Sir Keir Starmer's decision to appoint Peter Mandelson as the US ambassador for the UK. Of course, following revelations of his relationship with the paedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. Let's have a recap.
I think the Prime Minister's acted in good faith throughout. I think Peter Mandelson has put him in a very bad position. When more information came to light last September, he very quickly fired Peter Mandelson. He's horrified by the revelations of the past week. He's apologised to the victims of this, and rightly so. So I think, you know, we will see more when all these vetting documents are published, as I hope they are very soon. But I think the country is tested to destruction. The idea that the answer to our problems is to change the Prime Minister every 18 months or 2 years. The Prime Minister is focused on serving the country. He wants to focus on the cost of living. Of course, that's not what's getting communicated, because we've had not just the Mandelson story, but a number of others since the new year. But it's important that, as the country's foremost public servant, he continues with the job, and he'll have my support in doing that.
Well, there we go. Pat McFadden there, Work and Pensions Secretary. He's been out defending the Prime Minister and his decision to appoint Peter Mandelson. But is it convincing? Should we get the thoughts of my panel? Commissioning editor at The Spectator, Lara Brown, is with us, and the former Labour advisor, James Schneider, too. So, Lara, are you convinced by that defence?
I mean, the thing is, Pat has to defend Keir Starmer. We've got this weird position where we've got a lot of Labour MPs at the moment coming out and doing sort of very half-hearted defence of the Prime Minister, knowing that someone else will hopefully wield the knife and he'll be gone. It doesn't mean very much, I wouldn't say. I mean, Pat's big line is that Keir Starmer was lied to, and that just doesn't hold water. We know that Keir Starmer was fully aware that Epstein had a relationship that Mandelson had a relationship with Epstein after the conviction. I think that's enough. I mean, all he didn't know was how much there was to come out and cause him problems.
Yeah, it all sort of paints Keir Starmer as the victim in all of this, does it not, James?
I don't think he should be seen as the victim. Of course, he was lied to by Peter Mandelson, and many people were lied to by Peter Mandelson. But I think we should look at what's really come out about Mandelson's role and what it tells us about politics more broadly, because it's actually much bigger than just Keir Starmer's premiership, which probably isn't going to last that much longer. He was, it seems, from his emails from when he was in the cabinet in Gordon Brown's government, leaking information, market-sensitive information, to the person who looks like, from those emails, his real employer, which is not this country, but it is private finance. It's talking about how Jamie Dimon, the CEO of a US-American investment bank, can lobby the Chancellor. This kind of corporate capture of our politics goes much, much deeper than Mandelson and really should be the real scandal, and how the Labour Party progressively over the course of 30 years got taken over by interests which are very much not working peoples of this country.
Well, I think that's a very, very good point, absolutely. I mean, Lara, Pat McFadden out there saying, well, it's not really Keir Starmer's fault. Peter Mandelson was appearing on the BBC. He had public-facing roles as well, Chancellor of a university, Manchester Metropolitan, I think it is. So other people were wanting to hear from Peter. So therefore, this appointment, you know, so what?
I mean, I think Peter Mandelson's success in the public eye does raise questions that are worth answering. But the fact is, a BBC appearance or university role do not require the same level of vetting as being the ambassador to the US.
Quite, yes.
And you cannot just send someone off to America as our representative because, oh, well, a few journalists say it's fine, so it's probably OK. That is not how vetting works. And it looks like vetting wasn't done properly, like serious things like his relationship with Epstein were not taken into account post-conviction. And I don't really care who else is talking to him. Right now, I want Starmer to answer for his decisions.
Yes, and we don't seem to be getting that, and no action has been taken at all, has it? James, what do you make of the headlines this weekend? Various members of the Labour movement coming out to say, I warned against this appointment. You've got Angela Rayner, of course, now David Lammy.
Well, they're of course trying to distance themselves, and part of that is to do with the potential leadership challenge. Wes Streeting is the other leadership challenger, but he's very close to Mandelson, much closer than the other candidates. So that's part of what is going on. But people on the left, and substantially to the left of Lammy and Angela Rayner, have been warning about Peter Mandelson for decades, because what he represents is the corporate capture of the Labour Party and turning it away from its historic mission. And we can see that incredibly clearly in all of his actions. And you can see he was committed to making sure that the Labour Party didn't represent the interests of the overwhelming majority of people.
James, is it worse when it's the Labour Party found to be what some would consider acting with an element of corruption, corporate capture, as you call it?
Well, I think it's much...
Starmer has been rather pious, has he not?
So I don't think it's about his sort of cringe piety about it. It's that the Conservative Party represents the interests of the ruling class in Britain. That's its role. The Labour Party is meant to be...
In your opinion?
Yes, in my opinion, which is correct on this matter. No, and the Labour Party is meant to represent the interests of working people. And
so it makes it worse.
And that's what I'm saying. And it has been over the last 30 years with the Blair Project, which Mandelson was a key backer of. It has been taken over, and the great issue with the Keir Starmer's leadership is that he won on the basis that he was going to, broadly speaking, be on the side of the overwhelming majority of people, and then was run and captured by these Blairite figures, including Peter Mandelson, who have driven him to his own disaster, to his own wreckage. It's his wreckage, but it's also wreckage for the people, because people voted for change 18 months ago and they've got absolutely none of it. They have a continuity government, the same elite in power, the same financial interests in power, and the same relationships towards corporate control.
So, Lara, what do you think happens next? How long has the Prime Minister got in his position?
I think that Keir Starmer will survive this, not because he deserves to, but he will only be felled by a leadership contester. And we've got Wes Streeting, who looks like the continuity Mandelson candidate at this point, and Angela Rayner, who is under investigation by HMRC and will wait to get cleared. So long as neither of those two try to get rid of them, he probably will survive. But I think his fate has now been sealed. And either when they lose the by-election, which is very likely, or when they do very badly in the May locals, I think he will then go. And they will get, ironically, a leader from the Labour Party who was unelected, which you'll remember they made a huge fuss of when it was the Conservatives last time.
The Times was reporting that amidst all this, Keir Starmer has been flipping from fury, anger, and also self-flagellation. What does that tell us about the man at the top of politics right now?
So
I'm angry and also hitting himself at the same time.
I'm going to say I don't want to psychologise and then engage in a bit of COD psychology, but you can see from the reporting and interviews, and he has some difficulty expressing his emotions. There's some
just a little, yeah.
There's some deep emotional constipation there, so it doesn't surprise me that he is furious. And if you were in such a position where, as I say, you've been driven into disaster. You know, his own advisors apparently briefed a few years ago that he was, he thinks he's driving the train, but really we've just popped him in the front of the DLR, which is, for people outside London, is a driverless train. And so I'm sure he is furious, but he should take responsibility and then do something. Now, let's see what the thing is he does. Maybe he comes out and decides it's time to throw off all of this corporate capture and let's relaunch and serve the interests of the overwhelming majority of people. I don't think that's likely. I don't think that's really in his repertoire, but that's what he should do.
But James, if Starmer is so furious, why hasn't he got rid of Morgan McSweeney, the man who pushed him very, very hard to appoint Mandelson against better advice? I mean, he claims to be very, very angry, and he's taken no action against all the people he should be angry at.
And maybe he will, I don't know. I mean, but
why hasn't he done that yet? Because at the moment we've had this sort of apology, non-apology, and an apology to the victims as if that were his remit to apologise. And but no action, as you say, not getting rid of the advisor involved in all this, not making any grand speeches of how things are going to change in the future.
There was the speech on Thursday, it just wasn't very grand.
Back.
The speech on Thursday was about pride of place. He was trying to deflect from the Epstein situation.
So I think...
He needs to do something, does he not, to save his skin?
He completely does, but those things that you outlined, these small steps, removing this advisor or having some reform to how they appoint people or anything like that, none of that will do, because none of that speaks to the fundamental problem, which is that people in this country realise that our politics is captured by people whose interests do not belong to us.
OK, very quick. Who's the next leader of the Labour Party, James?
As we heard from Lara, very hard to say. The two leading candidates can't run now. I mean, I think maybe Ed Miliband.
Ed Miliband?
I fear it could be Ed Miliband because his hands are clean. I'd like Shabana. I don't like many of them, but she's the best. OK, well, there we go. It looks like it's going to be Ed Miliband, the next Prime Minister. You heard it here first. Who knows? I mean, politics is a strange game at the moment. Anyway, thank you very much, James and Lara. We'll see you a little bit later on as well. But Lord Mandelson has, of course, previously denied any wrongdoing in relation to Jeffrey Epstein, stating, "I was never culpable or complicit in his crimes like everyone else. I learned the actual truth about him after his death." He added that he had relied on assurances of his innocence that turned out later to be horrendously false. A Downing Street spokesperson also told GB News Peter Mandelson's actions are unforgivable. He lied to the Prime Minister, hid information that has since come to light and presented Epstein as someone he barely knew. They add, "We have already strengthened the ministerial code, giving the independent advisor greater powers to launch investigations, introduced a new monthly register of gifts and hospitality, established a new ethics commission and ensured that ministers who break the rules cannot receive severance payments." So there you go. Now, leading on the Mail on Sunday today, Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor, we are going to move to the giveaway and we're going to have, we have a huge British giveaway for you. And I believe Hayley Sparks has the details.
We want you to boost your bank account with an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. You wouldn't need to treat yourself to a holiday, as we're also going to treat you to the perfect getaway too. There's also a terrific £10,000 to spend on a Riviera travel holiday of a lifetime for two. So whether you fancy a cruise or an escorted tour, you'll have over 30 worldwide destinations to choose from, which means you could be exploring the wonders of Egypt on a Nile River cruise, or find yourself on a grand tour of Japan, in New Zealand, even enjoying the wonders of India. But you've got to be in it to win it.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, there you go. You better enter if you haven't already. A prize too big to miss. But yes, coming up, we've been talking about Keir Starmer, of course, the embattled Prime Minister. But who could come next? That's Rachel Reeves there, of course, in charge of the government's budget. But could we be in for an even more left-wing Prime Minister? And what would that mean for the economy? That's next. This is Sunday with Michael Portillo. This week with me, Emily Carver, on GB News.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Well, welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo, but of course with me, Emily Carver, today. Now, there appears to be a consensus, doesn't there, that the Prime Minister's days are numbered. But the question now, who replaces him? Someone who's obviously throwing her hat into the ring is Angela Rayner, of course. There she is, front of the Daily Mail. Rayner, I'm ready to go. That was a bit earlier this week. Other contenders could include Ed Miliband, perhaps Wes Streeting, even Shabana Mahmood could be the next leader, who knows? Now, Rayner does appear to be the current front-runner, doesn't she? But could that mean the government lurches further to the left? And what on earth would that mean for our already bruised economy? Could it, in fact, crash the economy, as some are saying? Well, economics editor at The Spectator, Michael Simmons, joins me now to tell us more. Michael, there is a bit of a worry, isn't there? Looking ahead, if the Prime Minister's days are numbered, where will the Labour movement shift to, and who will be the next leader? Would someone like Angela Rayner cause a bit of a problem when it comes to the old economy?
Yeah, well, we've seen this already, haven't we? I mean, Rachel Reeves is not a chancellor that's popular with the markets, but despite that, when we had that famous day last year when she was upset at Prime Minister's questions, the gilt yield soared because the markets were panicking, and that's not because they like Rachel Reeves, that's because they worry what might come after Keir Starmer and what might come after Rachel Reeves. And although we've seen the country's borrowing costs in recent days come down because inflation seems to be coming down, despite everything sort of that's been going on, if you look at longer-term borrowing costs, there's this fear that no one is prepared to fix the structural problems in our economy. So the fact that we spend far too much on things like the welfare state compared to what we bring in taxes, and the fact that we're not growing, and I think you would see a reaction in the markets if it did look like it was going to be someone to the left of Keir and someone to the left of Rachel. So clearly someone like Angela Rayner would potentially not go down well.
Well, I mean, Keir Starmer, I mean, some people say, oh, yes, he's on the right of the party, but is he? I mean, look at some of his economic policies. Completely gave up on welfare reform, as you mentioned. He reversed the cuts in the winter fuel allowance after pressure. He removed the two-child benefit cap. He also has been pushing for more union rights and also, as you've mentioned too, lots of taxes.
Yeah, well, if you speak to people that are lending us money, you speak to bond traders, some of them say, well, actually, I don't care who's leading the Labour Party because they don't seem to have control. I mean, at the start of his premiership, Keir and Rachel both tried to present this message that growth was important to them. They were going to try and tighten up the public finances. But as you've identified there, Labour backbenchers just said, no, we're not going to let you do that. We're not going to let you make any cuts to the ballooning welfare state. And so I think markets think these people don't have any power anyway. And to make matters worse, worse. They seem to have now just totally given up on growth as well.
I mean, of course, Angela Rayner and Ed Miliband are very different politicians, but they are considered on the left of the party. What kind of policies do you think would be pushed by either of them if they were to become the Prime Minister?
Yeah, well, I think they both have track records, I'm afraid to say, of harming the economy. If you start with Angela Rayner, I mean, she was the force behind this employment rights bill, which businesses, you know, say they just cannot cope with. We're going to see the effects of that over the next few years.
This was trying to make it much harder for businesses to fire people, to make changes to their workforce and everything like that.
Yeah, and the government's been forced to take out the worst parts of that bill because they're already doing damage to the labour market. I mean, things like increasing the minimum wage at the same time that you're increasing employers' national insurance has led to 200,000 payroll jobs being lost, you know, since those policies were announced. And then you look at Ed Miliband. Ed Miliband is obviously obsessed with net zero, and if that's something, you know, he took in, that's something that we know is partly responsible for why we have the highest energy costs in the developed world.
It seems like net zero has gone a bit out of fashion. I was speaking to someone who runs a business that hires speakers, and she said a couple of years ago, every business out there would want people to come and talk about net zero and climate change, and now they're not that interested. Is he behind the times? Have the public moved on?
Yeah, well, this is the interesting thing. I mean, I think one thing I will say in defence of Keir is he seems to have realised that at least a bit, and that's why the one positive measure that was scored in the budget as reducing inflation was about taking away some of these climate levies to reduce bills. And when we're a country that's only responsible, as everyone famously knows, for 1% of global emissions, I think people think, actually, the cost of living is more important here, and we should not be, you know, cutting our nose off to spite our face when it comes to the climate. But if Ed Miliband were to get into number 10, then the conversation might switch again, and he might say, I don't care about people's living costs, I think the environment's more important.
But I mean, with HMRC, stamp duty, etc., hanging over the head of Angela Rayner at the moment, could it be that Ed Miliband will become the top choice for the party? What do you reckon?
I mean, yeah,
I know you're an economics expert, but I mean, the politics is very interesting indeed of all of this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Ed would necessarily be the...
He's tried before.
Yeah, he wouldn't be the popular choice, but as other people have said, it's easy to see how he comes through the middle. I mean, the backbenchers, clearly, if you look at the policies they've overturned, would prefer a left candidate. Angela could have come unstuck at the tax authorities, and then essentially you do seem to be left with Ed.
Well, quite. And just to sort of round things off, how is the economy at the moment? Because you turn on whatever news you're looking at or headlines in the newspapers and it'll say something like, 0.1% growth or unexpected rise in unemployment. I mean, the government are battling on all fronts. And are they achieving anything?
No, I don't think they are. I mean, there's one part that's going well, which is inflation genuinely does seem coming down. The Bank of England now thinks that's going to come down to the 2% target as early as April. And we can all breathe a sigh of relief. But the government...
Is that because of government policy or is that because of...
There's a little bit of it is about reducing these levies on the energy bills, but most of it is about, you know, wage costs coming down and some global factors. But the more important bit that the government seems to be abandoning is growth. I mean, we also saw this week that forecasts for growth have been downgraded at a time when forecasts for unemployment are going up. So I think you're going to see the government shouting about the cost of living. But the trouble is, if we don't start thinking aggressively about growth and we just worry about getting down inflation, then we're only going to get back to living standards that we've had in the last couple of years. And no one's lives are actually going to improve unless we get serious about growing GDP.
Yeah, and I was feeling for young people, those coming out of university or school at the moment, and just the job prospects. The job prospects. I mean, the number of graduate jobs slashed across the economy, the number of school leaver jobs slashed even in terms of, you know, hospitality, of course, we talk about, but across the board.
Yep, and what's really depressing about this is you'll see lots of reports saying this is AI taking away entry-level jobs. In my opinion, there's no actual evidence of that. What's happened here is various policies from the government, the increases to minimum wage, the £25 billion raid on employer national insurance meant that employers are not hiring, they're not retaining staff, and what are the jobs that go first? They're those beginner entry-level jobs.
Angela Rayner probably would be like, well, everyone in the country should be paid £100 minimum per hour, let's do it, and nothing will happen. even in terms of unintended consequences. Michael Simmons, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning on the Portillo Show. That's the economics editor at The Spectator. You can read his work there. Thank you. Well, coming up, a GB News exclusive investigation has found that 20 councils across the United Kingdom have already expressed their interest in housing asylum seekers in newly renovated council homes. Is that the right move? Is that fair? Should we be prioritising migrants over our own citizens when it comes to crucial housing? This is Sunday with Michael Portillo, with me, Emily Carver.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's a dry start for some of us out there the first thing today, but we are going to see further heavy showers spreading their way northeastwards through the course of Sunday, but temperatures will be on the mild side for February. The showers will mostly focus themselves along this weather front as we go through the course of this afternoon, but low pressure does dominate through much of the coming week. So maybe a dry start to this afternoon across some eastern parts of England, but there's still some patchy mist and fog to clear in the odd place. Otherwise, we've got these bands of showers and longer spells of rain pushing their way in from the west. Perhaps the odd rumble of thunder and a little bit of hail mixed in the southwest as well. But temperatures around or slightly above average for the time of year, highs in double figures for many of us, and relatively light winds for the vast majority. But that's not the case across the northeast of Scotland, where once again we are going to see those really strong southeasterly winds, particularly for Orkney and Shetland. So as well as it being wet and rather cold, it's going to be pretty windy as well out there this afternoon and into this evening. Showers or longer spells of rain across parts of Northern Ireland, other parts of Scotland and across many parts of England and Wales through the course of this evening, but maybe one or two clearer breaks coming through, particularly later this evening. As we go through the course of tonight, those showers will continue to migrate their way northwards and eastwards across the UK. Some drier and clearer interludes following to some western areas as we go into the early hours. And where we do see skies clear for any length of time, there is the potential for one or two isolated mist and fog patches tonight. But for most, it's a frost-free night, temperatures holding up at 6 or 7 degrees for most of us, and a relatively mild start to Monday. Once again, though, a lot of cloud in the sky on Monday, though I am hopeful it will turn a little bit brighter for the Midlands, parts of eastern England and the southeast through the morning and into the afternoon. But here comes that next band of rain. Heavy rain pushing into the southwest, South Wales, and that rain falling on saturated ground. So we could well see some flooding by the end of the day. Temperatures around average or above for the time of year.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo, but with me, Emily Carver, today for one day only. I should say, I forgot to say, that we have a special guest coming up at about midday, so do stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to being reunited with this person. Anyway, a GB News investigation has found this week that 20 councils across the United Kingdom have already expressed interest in housing asylum seekers in newly renovated council homes. Now, this is a £500 million Home Office scheme, and it will fund building new homes and refurbishing derelict sites. It's part of efforts to stop housing migrants in hotels, of course. Now, GB News, our reporters, have approached all 380 local authorities in the country. Brighton, Hove, Hackney, Peterborough are just a few who've expressed their interest. Well, earlier, GB News Home Security Editor Mark White, he also reported that hundreds of small boat migrants are crossing the Channel today after weeks of bad weather. This problem is not going away. Well, with me now is former Conservative Immigration Minister Tom Pursglove. Tom, thank you very much indeed. Just your reaction, firstly, to that news that the boats are still very much coming despite the weather.
Well, completely unsurprising, isn't it, Emily? Because all the while that we don't have a meaningful deterrent, people are going to keep on making these journeys. And all this government has done is made a challenging problem much worse. That's reflected in these increased arrivals numbers. And with the weather window opening up, you will see people coming because they know that if they get to the United Kingdom, they will be able to stay here because this government just doesn't have the will politically to do what it takes to shut the route down once and for all and to put the criminal gangs responsible out of business.
Now, we know the Conservative government, previous Conservative government, found it tricky to close the hotels. Yes, they closed some, but also others were repurposed for asylum seekers. The government now, the Labour government, is also struggling, and it looks like they're going to be able to say, we've closed hotels, but what really has happened instead is that homes across the country are simply being used. Now, this investigation, 20 local councils already expressing an interest in participating in this £500 million Home Office scheme. And this will be for newly revamped council homes. I mean, Tom, the social contract here.
Well, I think you're right. And I was able to close, and actually with Robert Jenrick before me, 190 asylum hotels. That was the right thing to do. And we also had a preference to move to larger sites for accommodation purposes. So things like the Bibby Stockholm.
But how many of those people were moved into council homes, that sort of accommodation?
So what we were not doing was to take council housing stock out of circulation for the purposes of that accommodation. And as I say, what we want to do was pivot to large sites, but also deliver that in tandem with that meaningful deterrent with Rwanda shutting the route down once and for all. So these are political choices that this government is making. If you want to fund local authorities to transfer some of their council housing stock across, that is a political choice. I think that is completely unpalatable. I think it is completely wrong. I think about communities across the country where there's a waiting list for that accommodation from law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. They should be the priority when it comes to that accommodation, not small boat migrants. What the government should do instead is to, where you've got that accommodation need, it should be focused into larger sites, should be closing hotels. But the way that you stop this is to go back to that most fundamental point, which is to deal with the law, deal with the ECHR, and be able to return or relocate to a third country all of those who arrive, because ultimately that would mean that you wouldn't have any requirement for this accommodation in the first place.
I mean, it's extremely worrying. I mean, when people say that they don't want these hotels, when the public say they don't want these hotels, they don't mean, oh, well, just give them new council homes instead, do they? They want our borders protected, and it's been years and years and years that it seemed to be the reverse. I mean, is it your understanding that essentially people who have crossed into this country illegally on a boat will then be housed pretty swiftly in council homes?
Well, if that policy was to go ahead, that would be where those individuals would be housed, because what they want to do is effectively close the hotels and move them into alternative forms of accommodation. But as I say, I think doing that into council housing is completely inappropriate. It is not what people expect government to be doing. And it just sends all the wrong signals about, if you make those crossings, what you can expect. What you need to be doing is totally disincentivizing this, not adding in additional pull factors, because the criminal gangs will be saying to these people, if we can get you to the UK, you'll be able to get a council house. If you want to work, you'll be able to work, but there's also benefits. All of these other things that you want, you have to be really clear about this. And actually, just the optics of it, as well as the practicalities.
I mean, Tom, there are
really offensive and wrong-headed.
There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people in this country, young people, who have a job but are still living at home because they've been priced out of the rental market or priced out of the housing market, simply can't afford to get on the housing ladder. Then to see someone who's just recently arrived, and perhaps illegally, to this country, being granted residency, not only in a hotel, but in a newly revamped council home. I mean, it's hardly good for social cohesion, is it, Tom? I mean, it's outrageous, really.
And there's already a growing sense of anger and frustration in the country, quite understandably. I mean, the Bell Hotel is a good example of that. That was a hotel that I closed. This government reopened. but there is that palpable sense of anger about all of the optics, all of the signals, what this means for people in their day-to-day lives. You will have thousands of people watching this programme now who are on council house waiting lists, who've been waiting their turn, often seeing that as a stepping stone to perhaps buying a home of their own in due course. They're the people we ought to be supporting for all the right reasons, not people who've broken the law, come to this country illegally, and who have absolutely no right to expect or to receive in practice any of this sort of support. And that's why I think, public opinion on this has moved enormously. When we announced Rwanda, there were people out there who said it was cruel, it was terrible, it was completely the wrong thing to do. I think that's now the baseline of public opinion in terms of what people think should happen. That is what the government should do. And all the while they don't, we're going to continue to have these elevated crossing numbers. People are going to keep coming and coming because ultimately they know that if they get here, the chances are that they're going to be able to stay.
OK, well, Tom Pursglove, thank you very much indeed for joining me this morning. Former Conservative Immigration Minister there. I mean, a lot of you getting in touch at home. Patricia's got in touch. She says she's been on the council list for 15 years. She's at the back of the queue while people who have come over are getting everything for free, she says. Michelle saying you shouldn't get these homes if you don't pay into our system to begin with. Archie saying people don't want these migrants in hotels. The hotels are in communities, but neither in council homes too. I mean, there is a palpable sense of anger. There has to be a sense of fair play in this country, and at the moment it's totally skew-whiff. Now, the Home Office has declined a GB News request for clarification on this story, but a government spokesperson has previously said the vast majority of social homes in this country go to British nationals and priority is given to local people who need it most. People who arrive in the country illegally or migrants on student or work visas cannot access social housing. Work is well underway to shut every asylum hotel, with more suitable sites such as disused military bases coming on stream to ease pressure on communities and cut asylum costs. We're working closely with local councils and property partners to speed up delivery. Well, still to come, we have, of course, the fresh Epstein files, which reveal a group of women allegedly shared a private dinner at Buckingham Palace with the former Duke. What on earth is going on there? But if you are in search of a little bit of holiday sun, here's the forecast.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Well, the unsettled theme continues across Europe, with areas of low pressure moving through, bringing further spells of wet and windy weather. However, on Monday, something a little bit drier coming into the Canary Islands, but across Iberia, further spells of rain. Likewise across much of Italy, and then running into Greece, an area of low pressure, bringing further spells of rain or heavy showers and some strong winds. Canary Islands seeing the best of the sunshine, otherwise still remaining unsettled.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, this is Jubes & Co with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
and each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo, but with me, Emily Carver. Now we'll remind you that I have a special guest coming up at the top of the next hour, someone I've been waiting to be reunited with here at GB News. But before that, of course, we've been talking about the links between Mandelson and Jeffrey Epstein. But new bombshell emails linked to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Yes, they've revealed that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly took 4 women, including a young Romanian model and a Russian, to a private dinner at Buckingham Palace with the former prince. Now, the Mail on Sunday confirmed that the evening took place while the late Queen was away at Balmoral. Now, this follows revelations that despite telling the BBC's Emily Maitlis he'd gone to New York to break up his friendship with Epstein, it turns out he spent 9 days at Epstein's mansion. Now, on Friday, King Charles was heckled about the Jeffrey Epstein investigation during a royal visit to an Essex village. Let's have a listen. Well, there you go. But now I'm joined by the former press secretary to Queen Elizabeth II, Elsa Anderson. Elsa, thank you very much for joining me this Sunday. It's not looking good for Andrew, is it?
It's just so incredibly sordid, and every day it seems we're having more and more, information, revelations about what's been going on. And this story, of course, started in 2010, and it's now 2016, so 16 years of sordid allegations, and it really distracts from the amazing work that the royal family are doing on a daily basis. And you saw yourself, King Charles was heckled last week. That's almost unheard of. So while he is going about his business trying to promote, good charities and good works, all of that is being overshadowed by these more and more allegations and emails about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor.
I mean, Elsa, what's in the Mail on Sunday today is pretty shocking. You would not think that this would have been taking place in Buckingham Palace while the late Queen was away. Emails disclosing that Andrew entertained Epstein, 4 women, including a model from Bucharest and another from Russia, at the palace, all while the Queen, his mother, was away. Does Buckingham Palace not keep track of who's coming and going? Was Andrew just given a green card to have anyone he liked over?
Well, as a member of the royal family, you have private apartments in Buckingham Palace, and clearly he thought he could invite who he liked and when he liked. And I just think it's just, thank goodness the late Queen wasn't there at the time, and actually, thank goodness she's not here now to hear these awful sordid stories about her son. I think she'd be absolutely appalled because of the stain now that is over the entire royal family and the monarchy. Again, as I said earlier, it really distracts from the amazing work that they do continue to do on a daily basis.
I mean, you've got the royal author Andrew Lowney quoted in this Mail on Sunday exclusive, saying, we have lots of stories now of women being taken to Andrew, and I think there are strong grounds for the Met to reopen their case. Now, of course, he's denied all wrongdoing, and there's been absolutely no criminal conviction into him or anything such like. But do you think that now the pressure is going mounting and mounting and mounting in this way, that there may well be a criminal investigation into Andrew?
If I had a crystal ball, Emily, I'd love to look at it and tell you the answer. But I genuinely don't know. I know that the Met has so far resisted opening a criminal investigation into Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and the allegations that have been made in various emails and photographs. I don't know. I think if the evidence weighs to that effect, then yes, absolutely. But you'd have to ask the Met.
And what do you make of the story earlier? Of course, he's been booted out of the Royal Lodge. He's been staying on the Sandringham estate before his cottage gets renovated for him. In The Sun, I believe it was, reporting that royal staff were refusing to serve him at Sandringham. Do you know that to be true?
I don't, but clearly he's been looked after while he was living in Royal Lodge, and the staff there were still, looking after him. So I don't know. I would, if I had to, have a proper guess, I would say actually that there will be a team of staff to look after him while he lives on the Sandringham estate.
And just lastly, what does King Charles do about all this?
Well, I think last year he acted very, very quickly and very decisively by stripping away Andrew's titles, and actually, enough was enough. He had to move out of Royal Lodge, which clearly he had been resisting for months and months and months. It had been his home for a long time. So I don't know what more the king can actually do now, apart from, keep calm and carry on. And again, carry on doing those amazing engagements that he and other members of the royal family do. But I think, he has done all he can at the moment.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Elsa Anderson there, former press secretary to Queen Elizabeth II. Thank you very much for your time. Now, let's have a little look, shall we, about what you've been saying. I'll first read this out, though. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has always denied all the allegations of wrongdoing against him. Again, to reiterate, there have been no criminal charges brought against him. We do have lots of comments coming through, though, that I can see. Lots of you getting rather agitated by our previous conversation with the former Immigration Minister Tom Pursglove about the use of freshly renovated council homes. Lots of local authorities apparently expressing interest in this lump sum of £500 million to be spent on freshly renovated council homes for new arrivals. Now, it would all be well and good to be so generous to people who have just come to this country if everyone else was living it up in this country. But the fact is that a lot of people are really, really struggling, and they'll see this, as you guys are saying, writing in, they'll see this and think, you know what, where is the fairness? And this government talks about fairness, talks about doing the right thing, but really. Anyway, we've got lots more coming up on today's show. President Trump, he seems to begrudgingly be supporting Sir Keir Starmer's Chagos deal. What is this all about? He called it stupid. An act of great stupidity. Just a couple of weeks ago, he absolutely slammed it. Why has Donald Trump decided to completely change his mind on this one, and in a phone call tells Sir Keir Starmer that actually he's in favour of this deal? We'll also be getting the latest on the Winter Olympics, which apparently, there's been protest, there's been a huge amount of politics. What on earth is going on? Stay with us.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's a dry start for some of us out there the first thing today, but we are going to see further heavy showers spreading their way northeastwards through the course of Sunday, but temperatures will be on the mild side for February. The showers will mostly focus themselves along this weather front as we go through the course of this afternoon, but low pressure does dominate through much of the coming week. So maybe a dry start this afternoon across some eastern parts of England, but there's still some patchy mist and fog to clear in the odd place. Otherwise, we've got these bands of showers and longer spells of rain pushing their way in from the west. Perhaps the odd rumble of thunder and a little bit of hail mixed in the southwest as well. But temperatures around or slightly above average for the time of year, highs in double figures for many of us, and relatively light winds for the vast majority. But that's not the case across the northeast of Scotland, where once again we are going to see those really strong southeasterly winds, particularly for Orkney and Shetland. So as well as it being wet and rather cold, it's going to be pretty windy as well out there this afternoon and into this evening. Showers or longer spells of rain across parts of Northern Ireland, other parts of Scotland and across many parts of England and Wales through the course of this evening, but maybe one or two clearer breaks coming through, particularly later this evening. As we go through the course of tonight, those showers will continue to migrate their way northwards and eastwards across the UK. Some drier and clearer interludes following to some western areas as we go into the early hours. And where we do see skies clear for any length of time, there is the potential for one or two isolated mist and fog patches tonight. But for most, it's a frost-free night, temperatures holding up at 6 or 7 degrees for most of us, and a relatively mild start to Monday. Once again, though, a lot of cloud in the sky on Monday, though I am hopeful it will turn a little bit brighter for the Midlands, parts of eastern England and the southeast through the morning and into the afternoon. But here comes that next band of rain. Heavy rain pushing into the southwest, South Wales, and that rain falling on saturated ground, so we could well see some flooding by the end of the day. Temperatures around average or above for the time of year.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
You could win cash and the ultimate holiday in our two-part Great British giveaway. Thanks to Riviera Travel, you could be jetting off on a £10,000 dream holiday for 2 people. With flights, transfers and luxury accommodation included, you'll get to choose the kind of holiday you want. Plus, we're going to give you £30,000 in tax-free cash.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby, DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We love Great Britain. We love its history, its culture and its tradition, and that's why we're so proud to be part of GB News.
You look genuinely emotional. Oh, come here.
GB News does pay attention to those who are ignored by the mainstream media. The majority of this country whose forefathers fought and died to maintain liberty, to fight for freedom of speech.
The rule of law, the rights of property and democracy. This is the heritage that our country should be so proud of.
Which of course includes our Christian heritage. There's been a huge resurgence in the number of people going to church. Perhaps they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking for something a bit deeper, a bit more truthful, a bit more akin to Britain's Christian heritage.
That's right, get ready, because the most exciting night in general election history starts now!
Well, it's just coming up to midday. You're with me, Emily Carver, in for Michael Portillo. Now, of course, it's an absolute pleasure to be back. Thank you for your messages. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Now, I just want to point out some of the front pages today. It is absolutely extraordinary. Keir Starmer's face looking rather disgruntled on practically all of them. David Blunkett to the Prime Minister, get your act together. You've got David Lammy, of course, coming out now saying, I warned Starmer about Mandelson. It does go on and on, but coming up on today's programme, chaos grips the Labour Party, leaving Keir Starmer on the precipice of a full-scale civil war. Is it time he stepped aside? Will he step aside? Of course, sensational news as well. Deputy Prime Minister David Lammy, he's thrown Keir Starmer under the bus, joining Angela Rayner in saying that he actually warned the Prime Minister not to appoint Mandelson. And the other bombshell today, which we'll discuss, is that Mandelson was paid £55,000 of British taxpayers' money after Starmer sacked him. Should he give that back? But if this woman, Angela Rayner, gets the keys to number 10, will it crash the economy and force a general election? That's what some are saying. And there are brand new homes for asylum seekers. Apparently, yes, a GB News investigation has found that 20 councils now have already expressed their interest across the country in housing asylum seekers in newly revamped council house. Now, with a lot of young people struggling to get on the housing ladder, with a lot of veterans, military veterans, homeless, is this really a fair use of our cash? And I'll be getting the latest on the Winter Olympics. There have been protests, there's been political protests, there have been environmental protests. The Brits have been doing quite well, though, when it comes to the curling. We're going to get the very latest. Could politics overshadow the games? But this is the Michael Portillo Show with me, Emily Carver. OK, well, let's get a recap of what the government is now saying in defence of Sir Keir Starmer's decision to appoint Peter Mandelson as the US ambassador for the UK. Yes, Pat McFadden, he's the Work and Pensions Secretary. He was out today defending Keir Starmer. Let's have a listen.
I think the Prime Minister's acted in good faith throughout. I think Peter Mandelson has put him in a very bad position. When more information came to light last September, he very quickly fired Peter Mandelson. He's horrified by the revelations of the past week. He's apologised to the victims of this, and rightly so. So I think, you know, we will see more when all these vetting documents are published, as I hope they are very soon.
Well, there you go. The Prime Minister acted in good faith. He was lied to. Well, I'm delighted to say my special guest is, drumroll, Deputy Political Editor and also co-host of Good Afternoon Britain, Tom Harwood. Oh, Tom, it's so nice to see your smiley face. I have missed you. It's been about 5 months now, Tom.
It's been about 5 months, and it is so good to see you back in the GB News studio. But a little secret, perhaps, for the audience: we did see each other about, 10 hours ago at a party in North London. So this isn't the reunion that it might be, but it is certainly an on-screen reunion, and it's great to see you back.
I did take the opportunity to harass you into coming on your Sunday morning, although it is past midday now. Tom did say, no, I can't do the 11 o'clock. I'm going to be in bed. I'll do the midday. Anyway, Tom, you're here to give your political analysis. What is going on? How long does Keir Starmer have left? And who will be the next leader of the Labour Party if he indeed does go?
I mean, what an astonishing 7 days in politics it has been. I mean, 7 days ago, who was seriously considering that Keir Starmer would almost be a certainty not to lead the Labour Party into the next election? I think there's now a general consensus in Westminster that Keir Starmer will not lead the Labour Party into the next election. The question has become when, not if, this man will go. I mean, let's rewind for a second back to Wednesday, when that astonishing Prime Minister's questions, Kemi Badenoch asked the Prime Minister, well, did he know about the relationship between Mandelson and Epstein? Did he know about the ongoing relationship between Mandelson and Epstein? And the answer, 3 words. Yes, I did. I mean, extraordinary. And what a moment that was. You could almost feel the Labour benches turning against their own Prime Minister. But they've got a problem. As you've been detailing throughout the programme, there is a very, very big problem. There is no clear successor. I mean, Angela Rayner is still disgraced, still has tens of thousands of pounds of unpaid tax to pay. Andy Burnham is banished from Parliament. Keir Starmer and his cronies would not allow Andy Burnham, of course, to stand in the Gorton and Denton by-election. But there's more than that too. Wes Streeting, one of the other sort of leading lights, seemed to be a potential replacement. He himself was close to Peter Mandelson. I mean, it is an utter, utter mess.
It is not an utter mess. And Tom, you are never a mess, and I look forward to rejoining you for Good Afternoon Britain. Thank you so much, Tom, for taking the time out of your Sunday. You'll be back on the telly tomorrow, without fail, of course. Tom Harwood there, Deputy Political Editor, and, of course, my friend and co-host of Good Afternoon Britain. Thank you very much, Tom. Have a good one. Shall we get the thoughts of my panel, Commissioning Editor at The Spectator, Lara Brown, and former Labour advisor, James Schneider? I'm not sure if you were able to hear any of that.
Sadly not.
But Tom was essentially laying out what's happened over this week and how it's not going to be easy necessarily, James, to find a successor in all of the mess, with Angela Rayner disgraced herself, with questions over HMRC, stamp duty, etc. Ed Miliband, he's got quite a bit of baggage too. Are we getting ahead of ourselves, though? Could Keir Starmer just cling on till the next election?
I don't think that he will lead the Labour Party into the next election, but I also don't think that he's going to go immediately, in part for the reasons that you said. The two front-runners, Wes Streeting and Angela Rayner, neither of them can pull the trigger themselves because neither of them are really in a position to run now. You know, if Keir Starmer was captured...
We need to clear up a few things first.
Yes, and we should probably say what they are. I mean, if Keir Starmer was captured by Mandelson and these Blairite interests, well, Wes Streeting is that candidate. He's got much closer connections to that bit of the party, the corporate takeover of the Labour Party, than even Keir Starmer did. And Angela Rayner is still being investigated by the taxman over the stamp duty on the home that she bought in Brighton. So neither of them are in the position to move, it seems to me, immediately. And so that gives Keir Starmer at least a little bit of space to do something. Now, who knows what he's going to do, if anything at all. But that's the next play, I think.
Well, Lara, we know the Conservatives find it rather easy to switch leaders, to stick the knife in. Are Labour ready to do such a thing to Keir Starmer? What would need to happen?
So Keir Starmer is really, really lucky for one reason, and that's that his entire cabinet and most of his party are pretty useless. We've been through why Wes Streeting can't be leader. Angela Rayner is waiting for a tax investigation, obviously can't be leader. If you're wondering if David Lammy can be leader, go watch his Mastermind performance. We know the country don't want Ed Miliband. It's the one fact we do have.
You winced at that, at the Mastermind. Do you think that we shouldn't hold that against David Lammy? This was David Lammy on Mastermind. I'm sure our viewers and listeners have seen it. He fails quite basic questions.
No, I'm wincing for him, having remembered watching that at the time and then subsequently since. It's very painful.
Yes, he got quite a few things confused.
If you don't know anything, don't go on Mastermind. My political advice right here. But because of this, it's really difficult to get rid of Keir Starmer. The Labour mechanisms here are quite complicated, but to sort of oversimplify them, you have to get 80 MPs, not just against Keir Starmer, but behind one person. Labour is famously very, very factional. It's very, very split across the left and the right. There's now multiple sort of left-wing parties. There's those that want Burnham and want to hold on for getting him in. There's those that don't. And as a consequence, I think it's going to take a long time to unseat Starmer, while these leadership hopefuls are hoping their situation might get better. I've been saying I give him till the May locals. Coming third in the by-election, which could happen, would be really, really bad, and that might get rid of him. But I don't think he'll go over Mandelson. He should go. If he was an honourable man, he would resign, but he's not. So I think he might cling on for a few more months.
Now, this money that Mandelson has received after being sacked, £55,000, apparently. I mean, this man, now disgraced, was only in the role for about 7 months, I think, and a payout of, people are saying months' worth of salary, three months' worth of salary or something as the like, from the Foreign Office, paid for by you and I. Pat McFadden has said that they should consider him paying that back.
I think
there you go.
I think he should do more than pay back that money, and I think there are going to be. We saw his homes raided. I think there's going to be a lot more serious things because, you know, if you look at the things that he was doing when he was in government, when he was a senior minister, he was the de facto deputy prime minister. He was the secretary of state for the business department, and from his emails with Epstein, it looks like he is leaking market-sensitive information and also conspiring with Epstein to have his own government lobbied by foreign investment banks to change our position on the banker's bonus. This is very...
It's quite extraordinary, isn't it?
It's absolutely extraordinary. I mean, I'm sure that he's not the only one who has been doing this, and this level of corruption and corporate capture in our politics runs far deeper. I mean, we can remember David Cameron and the Greensill scandal, you know, texting people that he was their boss quite recently, asking them to, in effect, bail out the company that he was a shareholder in and was working for. This is the kind of disgusting corruption in our politics that we need to turf out entirely, and whether Keir Starmer goes or not is almost by the by, because this is a problem which is even bigger than one prime minister. This is something which stretches across political parties and down the decades.
What's so awful for Keir Starmer? I mean, one of the things is that he's Mr. Rules, isn't he? He's Mr. Do the right thing, take the moral stance. We're going to play everything by the rule book and get nothing wrong when it comes to that sort of thing, sleaze, corruption, etc. Boris Johnson, we're new, we're fresh, we're going to change the country. Lara, it makes it all the worse, does it not?
I think so. Starmer has very little to commend him. He's dislikable, the public find him boring. So we were sold this claim that he was a human rights lawyer and he was really procedural-oriented. And you obviously had polls showing people were absolutely sick of what they perceived as Tory sleaze, and they felt that that was what had caused the last 14 years to be so bad. And they promised this man who would never be like that. He was too dull to really be on the wrong side of the law in any way. And then what we've seen, I think, I would argue multiple times, not just in this instance, is when it benefits him or when it's for his aims, procedure is out of the window. He did not properly vet Mandelson. That is what we're going to see. I mean, if he is telling the truth about what he knew, he can't have vetted Mandelson. He's done this with hiring before. This is not a man that cares about rules.
Forget the vetting, forget the process, as Keir Starmer likes to rely on. You should have just a radar over who appears a bit dodgy to the electorate. You know, who shouldn't be in such a position of power after having so many scandals in the past? I mean, you know, just a basic radar. You don't need a vetting procedure to know that, surely.
Or turn around and say, Peter Mandelson is a total creep, and that's why I appointed him, because Trump is a total creep, and he's great friends with Jeffrey Epstein, so I wanted to appoint these creeps together because that was the best way that we can defend ourselves against
at least people would believe that, right?
Well, precisely. I mean, it's not true, that's not what they're saying, but something like that, where you can say, the reason why I appointed this totally wrong person for this position, but I mean, it's not just that Mandelson was our ambassador to the United States. He's been a key figure in the right of the Labour Party's forcing out of the left. He was apparently vetting candidates for the 2024 general election. He's been part of this project for the whole way. He has been committed to it. He said when Jeremy Corbyn was leader of the Labour Party that he tries every single day in some way to bring him down, which makes sense. Jeremy Corbyn wanted the Labour Party to be a vehicle for the working class majority in this country, and Mandelson clearly wanted it to be a vehicle for bankers and people that can have some influence over policy, not in the interest of the overwhelming majority of people. They should have also looked at his Global Counsel company that provided lobbying support for privatised water companies.
I mean, the rot goes deep. The rot goes deep. And Keir Starmer's problem, Lara, well, one of his problems, perhaps his fatal flaw, is that he struggles to be human. So people, they're in doubt what he says, whether he actually believes it. I mean, there is that infamous interview where he says he doesn't have a favourite when it comes to tea and coffee. He likes...
Doesn't dream.
He likes he doesn't dream. He doesn't have a favourite book or poem. Now, is this him just being known as a fence sitter, doesn't want to tell anyone what he actually likes, or is it just that he is totally uncreative and inhuman when it comes to these types of things? And it's not exactly going to engage the electorate, is it, let's say?
I am sorry, look, Keir Starmer is very unhuman. He's very sort of emotionally repressed. He's very dislikable. People dislike him in interviews. But I'm not letting him off this over that. Like, the facts here are that Keir Starmer appointed someone whom he knew had a relationship with a man after he was convicted for child prostitution. There is nothing about humanity or emotion or likability in this story that matters. I mean, his apologies, I think, sound quite bad because of that, but those are the facts. You don't have to be a good, slick media performer to not do that. It's just a basic test of morality.
Are we going to see more Labour figures come out and tell Keir Starmer, you know, time's up?
Probably, quite likely, yes.
They all seem to be skirting around the issue at the moment.
They're coming out bit by bit, but that's because of, you know, as Lara was saying, the mechanism for removing the leader is you need to have 20%. It's not that complicated, but there is a particular bar. 20% of the Parliamentary Labour Party, so about 80 MPs, need to support another candidate. So that means someone needs to come out and say, yes, I am going to challenge you. They need to, you know, John Redwood, put their head above the parapet and start a contest. And when Angela Rayner can't do that, Wes Streeting can't do that, there's this sort of phony war that is going on between them for now. So I'm sure there'll be more pressure on him this week, and he's going to have to do things this week to try to reset his government. Whether any of that makes any difference, whether anyone notices, whether the Parliamentary Labour Party cares, whether the public is listening, is a different question.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to, didn't he, with, is it £800 million going to various communities, councils, neighbourhood boards to try and fix the high street and the like? I mean, is that going to be a winner for the electorate? Have people even noticed that out there, Lara?
One of Keir Starmer's big problems is he sincerely believes the public is completely stupid. And you can tell in the last week of PR that he's thought, oh no, I'm being done for a sort of massive allegation of like, being involved with a paedophile and having a friend who did these terrible things and corruption. I'll distract everyone with putting a new bridge in their high street or giving them a few £1 million there. They'll buy that, they'll move on.
Whilst I'm hammering small businesses left, right and centre.
Yeah, putting pubs out of business, making hospitality impossible, crashing the economy. I mean, this is Keir Starmer all over. He thinks we can be bought off and we have to show that we can't.
Well, there we go. Lara Brown and James Schneider, thank you very much indeed. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Now, Lord Mandelson has previously denied any wrongdoing in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. He states, I was never culpable or complicit in his crimes. Like everyone else, I learned the actual truth about him after his death. He added that he had relied on assurances of his innocence and turned out later to be horrendously false. Now, a Downing Street spokesperson also told GB News, Peter Mandelson's actions are unforgivable. He lied to the Prime Minister, hid information that has since come to light, and presented Epstein as someone he barely knew. They add, we have already strengthened the ministerial code, giving the independent advisor greater powers to launch investigations, introduced a new monthly register of gifts and hospitality, established a new ethics commission, and ensured that ministers who break the rules cannot receive severance payments. Well, there you go. Those are the rights of reply. But it is time for a brand new Great British giveaway. And Hayley Sparks is here with the details.
We want you to boost your bank account with an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. You wouldn't need to treat yourself to a holiday, as we're also going to treat you to the perfect getaway too. There's also a terrific £10,000 to spend on a Riviera travel holiday of a lifetime for two. So whether you fancy a cruise or an escorted tour, you'll have over 30 worldwide destinations to choose from, which means you could be exploring the wonders of Egypt on a Nile River cruise, or find yourself on a grand tour of Japan, in New Zealand, even enjoying the wonders of India. But you've got to be in it to win it.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3233. 32. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19, PO Box 8690, Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. The winner may be contacted live after all entry routes have closed. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, remember when Donald Trump said Keir Starmer's Chagos deal is an act of great stupidity? Well, now he supports it. Why? We'll get the latest.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
And you see, I would have thought that the stammer business had gone away, right? But it hasn't gone away. It'll always be with you, but you control it very well. Indeed, we should point out that Gareth has his voice coach, Amy, in the studio today, here in case anything goes wrong.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing, having a stammer. You know, unfortunately, there's no cure for it. But I'm part of a speech therapy program called the Maguire program. Myself and my coach, Amy, is on the same program, and we help each other. And we learn a new way of breathing, new way of speaking, and most importantly, a new way of tackling the mindsets which come with having a stammer, which is fear. This is my most fearful situation.
But my friend, when you get up on that stage and you put a microphone in your hand and you sing, are you worried about it then? Does it manifest itself then?
No, I mean, every time I sing, or, you know, I've done big West End shows where I've had to act and, you know, read pages of dialogue. Yeah. It's just not an issue because I adopt a different persona. I'm not me. I'm, you know, whatever mask I'm wearing, whatever character I'm playing. I'm really unsure how I'll fare without my top on in this next show that I'm doing, Boy Band in the Buff, but let's see.
What is the stammer caused by then? Because some people, you said it's incurable, so that means that there's actually something, there's an issue.
Yeah, it's certainly a kind of mindset thing. It's actually based upon fear, and you know, we have to sort of retrain ourselves. And you know, if you're scared of heights, for instance, what's the best thing to do? To go to the highest building, and eventually you'll get close to the edge.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Well, welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo. It's me, Emily Carver, this week. Now, with all the political chaos going on at the heart of government, one story that may have gone slightly under the radar. Yes, in a phone call on Thursday evening, President Donald Trump seemingly, suddenly, supported Sir Keir Starmer's Chagos deal. Now, the US president described the deal as the best the Prime Minister could make. But this comes just a couple of weeks after the US president slammed the deal as an act of great stupidity. What is going on in the head of President Trump, and what's this all about? Chief Foreign Affairs commentator at the Daily Telegraph, David Blair, joins me now to make sense of this. David, thank you so much for joining us this Sunday. David, what's going on here? Why the change of heart when it comes to Trump and the Chagos deal?
Well, he's zigzagged now twice. First he was for it, then he was against it. Now he's for it again. But look, I think the reality is we're talking here about the United States. They've got a vital base on Diego Garcia. No one is going to shift them out of that base. and no one in the end is going to stop them from doing pretty much whatever they wish with it. So from America's point of view, it doesn't really matter whether the landlord, if you will, is Britain or Mauritius. In the end, they're going to be able to do what they wish. And they've clearly decided that it's not worth expending diplomatic capital on a fight with the British over this. If Keir Starmer's determined to give away British territory, it's a rather odd thing to do, but why try to stop him?
And just remind us how much this is all going to cost the British taxpayer.
Well, we will lease back the base from Mauritius for £100 million a year over the next 99 years. Now, depending on how you calculate it, that could involve a total cost of about £34 billion to lease back territory which, at this moment, we actually own. So you might think that that was a slightly odd deal.
Well, you might, yes, and I think a lot of our viewers and listeners think it's a slightly odd deal, a traitorous deal, as some would go as far to say. Now, what stage are we at with all this? So Donald Trump has said, yeah, it's OK, suits us, not a problem anymore, no longer an act of great stupidity, suits us quite nicely. The treaty's been signed, hasn't it, but not yet ratified, am I right?
Correct. So ratification is now before Parliament in the form of a bill. And the Lords have been obstructing that in various ways by actually defeating the government on a number of votes and securing some amendments. But the government has got the numbers in the House of Commons to overturn those Lords' decisions and get this through. So I think now that America, presumably this is America's final position, that they're OK with the deal. Now I presume it will go through. It's very hard to see how it can be stopped.
I mean, a lot of people, myself included, were hoping that Donald Trump might storm in and say, nope, this is not happening. This is not happening at all. Instead, he's let down a lot of the British public, I would say. Is there any other way? I mean, you say that the government can overrule the Lords and any changes they wish to make. Is there any other way this might end up not happening, David?
It's very hard to see. I think it will happen now. And in fairness to Donald Trump, it's not his job to stand up for the interests of the British public.
True.
That's Keir Starmer's job. And if Keir Starmer insists on signing this very odd deal, we can't really rely upon the President of the United States to stop it for us.
And, of course, Keir Starmer's in a lot of heat at the moment, to say the least. What does this whole Chagos deal story tell us about the man in charge at the moment?
Well, I think the interesting question is, just suppose the Prime Minister goes and is replaced. Would his successor think again about this deal? And I think the answer to that question is almost certainly not. The Labour Party isn't really split on this deal. Labour backbenchers, almost all of them, seem to support it. So because for them, obeying what they see as international law and relinquishing this territory is a sacred mission. It's something that they want to do. You know, Keir Starmer is not being dragged into this unwillingly. You know, he really does want to do it because they see this as being part of them upholding a system, an international system based upon rules and laws rather than power. Now, you might think that that's all a bit unrealistic in the world of Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping and Donald Trump, but this is genuinely what they believe. So I think in all probability now, the Chagos agreement will be enacted and the territory will be handed to Mauritius. It's hard to see how something can go wrong now.
I mean, David, can I just say, so Dave Plim has got in touch. He says, if Trump agrees this awful Chagos deal, the US should pay at least half the lease.
I stand to be corrected, but I believe that is in the agreement, that the Americans will contribute some of the money. But I stand to be corrected on that if I'm wrong.
Right, interesting. We'll have to look into that. David Blair, thank you very much indeed. You're the Chief Foreign Affairs commentator at the Daily Telegraph, no less. Now, we've got lots more coming up on this show today, but first we're going to have a quick ad break. Stick with us.
Good morning and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's a dry start for some of us out there the first thing today, but we are going to see further heavy showers spreading their way northeastwards through the course of Sunday, but temperatures will be on the mild side for February. The showers will mostly focus themselves along this weather front as we go through the course of this afternoon, but low pressure does dominate through much of the coming week. So maybe a dry start this afternoon across some eastern parts of England, but there's still some patchy mist and fog to clear in the odd place. Otherwise, we've got these bands of showers and longer spells of rain pushing their way in from the west. Perhaps the odd rumble of thunder and a little bit of hail mixed in the southwest as well. But temperatures around or slightly above average for the time of year, highs in double figures for many of us, and relatively light winds for the vast majority. But that's not the case across the northeast of Scotland, where once again we are going to see those really strong southeasterly winds, particularly for Orkney and Shetland. So as well as it being wet and rather cold, it's going to be pretty windy as well out there this afternoon and into this evening. Showers or longer spells of rain across parts of Northern Ireland, other parts of Scotland and across many parts of England and Wales through the course of this evening, but maybe one or two clearer breaks coming through, particularly later this evening. As we go through the course of tonight, those showers will continue to migrate their way northwards and eastwards across the UK. Some dry and clear interludes following to some western areas as we go into the early hours. And where we do see skies clear for any length of time, there is the potential for one or two isolated mist and fog patches tonight. But for most, it's a frost-free night, temperatures holding up at 6 or 7 degrees for most of us, and a relatively mild start to Monday. Once again, though, a lot of cloud in the sky on Monday, though I am hopeful it will turn a little bit brighter for the Midlands, parts of eastern England and the southeast through the morning and into the afternoon. But here comes that next band of rain. Heavy rain pushing into the southwest, South Wales, and that rain falling on saturated ground. So we could well see some flooding by the end of the day. Temperatures around average or above for the time of year.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Sunday with Michael Portillo, but with me, Emily Carver, this week. Now, what many are calling the biggest scandal in British history is very much back in the spotlight this week. That's because an independent inquiry launched by Rupert Lowe, there he is, into the rape gang scandal is hearing quite harrowing testimonies from survivors, describing widespread organised abuse, alleging specific demographic patterns and repeated failures by authorities to intervene. Now, Mr Lowe has funded the independent inquiry through crowdfunding, raising nearly £700,000 from the public to fund these investigations. Now, with many praising his efforts, why an inquiry has had to be set up privately and with crowd-funded money, why is that? Should the government and previous governments have done more to find truth and justice for the victims? Well, I'm delighted to be joined by the CEO of Freedom from Abuse, Marilyn Hawes, who joins me now. Marilyn, this is quite something that this is going on while the Labour government has said that they were going to do almost the very same thing.
Well, thanks for having me on, Emily. To be honest, I mean, well done, Rupert Lowe. Now, I read some stuff this morning that some people, like, you know, have said, oh, he's only doing it for himself. No, I don't care who's doing it or how he's doing it. He's doing it. He's now trying to bring this to the fore, naming and shaming the people that were involved. At the time, there were also 2 Pakistani councillors that were silencing people because they didn't want it to come out and they would be accused of racism. And I would say this is absolutely true, that Starmer is looking after himself because he doesn't want to admit that the problem is with Pakistani men and also some of the asylum seekers as well. Now, some of these girls have been raped, wait for it, by 600 men. And it absolutely, some of them were raped during Eid parties, you know, the Arabic Middle Eastern Eid party. A lot of them were being raped by then. It's also shown that I think Fiona Goddard, one of the survivors, has come out and said, you know, they were second generation Pakistanis and illegal immigrants, and that's come from the mouth of a survivor. And still Starmer does nothing. Now, the thing is, of course, well done, Rupert, because we haven't got the funding, have we? The CBS is cut with funding, the police, the law enforcement agencies, and a lot of those don't want to step up either. I'm dealing with a current case at the moment, which I said on a programme with Patrick the other night, dealing in North Shields, and it's frankly absolutely the ignoring of police, even as we speak, is absolutely shocking. But this, honestly, Emily, this has gone on in 2002 and 2003. So we're going back 26 years. Anne Cryer raised this with Jane Senior, who was a social worker, and she saw predominantly patterns of Pakistani men, and she reported it in, and nothing was done about it. The Casey report, Baroness Casey, she said there were Pakistani counsellors. The problem lies mainly with them and Bangladeshis, and I've called this out for the last 20 odd years. I've been called racist, I've been called everything you like. I don't care. I'm right up there with Maggie Oliver. We know each other, and we both say the same thing. But now, of course, now they're minimalising it. They're wanting to call it misogyny. No, call it for what it is. It's barbaric rapes by vile men who are useless lumps of flesh that have got no, they shouldn't be in this country. Even if they're second Pakistanis, they should be behind bars or whatever. And Starmer has not stepped up. He has not. And 200 days ago, they said they were going to do it, and they have done nothing yet of significance. And I don't think they ever will. I think people will still be closed down and silenced.
Well, of course, GB News has done a lot of work to expose just how widespread this problem has been in this country, and for so many years. This investigation, just reading some of the findings so far, I mean, it hasn't been going on for very long, has it? But so far, 85 local authorities where this has been going on. Gang rapes, beatings, forced abortions, STIs, you know, psychological manipulation, blackmail, drugs, alcohol, grooming, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. I don't know if you've spoken to Rupert Lowe recently, but we've heard about potentially evidence being there now for private prosecutions.
Yes, he needs to do it, and it should be, because, you know, you can do a private prosecution. Why would you want to wait for it to go through any other route that is going to be stopped, it's going to be held up? These ladies who were children, don't forget, when they were raped in filthy lay-bys, on dirty mattresses. There's one girl I heard of the other day with some Kurdish men, absolutely currently as we speak, being raped, and woke up one morning to 4 men, you know, she was unconscious, she was drugged, and there were 4 men raping her in her bed, and the police have done nothing. And this is the problem. You've got two-tier policing, make no doubt about it. They're told to turn away. They should be sorting out crime and this terrible, terrible scourge on society that, honestly, while the world watches on. And it's so true what Nelson Mandela said, that a country will be judged by how we treat our children. And frankly, this government sucks.
The government says, Marilyn, don't they, that they want to halve violence against women and girls in this parliament, but then they sit on their hands when it comes to rape gang inquiries.
And also, don't forget, he stood up there the other day looking like he'd been rehearsing in front of a mirror, apologising for those victims of Epstein, but no word of what's going on here. And it's all very well going on about Jess Phillips, got no time for her. Violence against women and girls. I deal plenty of times with violence against boys. And they are not all misogynists. There are a lot of boys. I do courses in schools on toxic relationships. You would not believe the number of boys that come forward who weren't aware that their relationship with a girl was toxic. So all this business about, oh, boys have to go and have misogyny training and not to be a misogynist. What? Honestly, you can see it any day in a school. Where's the parents? Where's the dads?
Yeah, in a classroom, having a well-meaning female teacher tell all the boys in the class to be nice to women. I'm not really sure whether that's going to make the impact.
They're lefties. They're lefties. They always have been, and they're lefties, and they don't.
Marilyn, we're going to have to leave it there because we've run out of time, but thank you very much indeed, CEO of Freedom from Abuse, Marilyn Hawes there. Now, a Home Office spokesperson has said the abuse of children by grooming gangs is one of the most horrific crimes imaginable. We will do everything in our power to ensure these crimes never happen again. That is why we have launched a statutory inquiry equipped with the powers and resources required to get to the truth and deliver justice for the survivors. Now, you may well also be rather too aware that cafes, restaurants, other industries are sounding the alarm after they were actually excluded from business rate support. Yes, last week the government announced a 15% reduction in business rates for pubs and music venues. Good, but absolutely no mention of cafes. Why not cafes? Let's see what our South of England reporter Isabel Fekalak has this report.
Yes, so we've seen a bit of relief for pubs, 15% off business rates starting in April, but that does not include the wider hospitality sector. So I'm here today in Dolly's Tea Room, a cafe that says they're struggling with the government's last budget. I'm joined now by Tracy Hammond, who owns the Tea Room, along with your husband. Tracy, how does it feel to be left out of that relief that was given to pubs?
Just absolutely gutted, you know, because as new owners, any little bit of help, and you know, what's the difference between pubs and tea rooms? I mean, we're much smaller and we really struggle because we don't have the alcohol and all that to keep us going, and that's a much bigger thing. And we're just a tiny little tea room, and that 15% could have made a big difference to us. So we were absolutely gutted, and I just think that the government should do more for us tea rooms.
And you said you're there that you're a new business. You opened your doors in November, just in time for the budget. I mean, how did it feel to be struck down so early in opening this tea room?
Yeah, no, it's awful because, you know, you have so much hope and then you suddenly get that given to you, that thrown that in your face, and it's kind of like that you're not going to get that help. And I just feel that the tea rooms, and I'm actually having a meeting much later with a whole lot of tea rooms because we've got a tea trail sorted. And they were all saying exactly the same thing. That's just not going to get. We're not getting the help that we should be getting. You know, like the minimum wage going up, for instance. I mean, you think from that's already we struggling with the minimum wage going up. We had somebody that's turned 18 and it's gone up by almost £2, and I think that's horrific. And if it's going to go up in April again, you know, that's affecting us. Yeah.
So not just business rates there that's you're struggling with. What could the government do now? What help do you need from them to support cafes and tea rooms?
Oh, come and speak to us. There's loads that they can help us with. You know, utility bills. You know, that's it. I mean, our electric bills is just absolutely astronomical. How can we sustain a business, and ours is just a micro business, and we've noticed the battle just as, you know, it's just before anyone even gets in the door, it's just massive. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems like a pretty thriving tea room today. It's been very busy, tables all filled. So well done and good luck to you with everything. Thank you for coming on today. So as we've heard here, not just pubs, but the hospitality industry as a sector pleading for help from the government.
Thanks, Isabel, for that. I mean, it's depressing, the state of our high streets, and the government's big idea is just to essentially splash a bit of cash on these areas, £800 million for councils to sort out the high streets. Well, why don't you think about cutting taxes? Maybe loosen a few regulations might be nice. That might get the high street back to its vibrancies, but no, pull on the taxpayer instead. Anyway, we've got a lot more coming up. We're going to actually be returning to the Winter Olympics because it's all kicking off. That's next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Well, the unsettled theme continues across Europe, with areas of low pressure moving through, bringing further spells of wet and windy weather. However, on Monday, something a little bit dry coming into the Canary Islands, but across Iberia, further spells of rain. Likewise across much of Italy, and then running into Greece, an area of low pressure, bringing further spells of rain or heavy showers and some strong winds. Canary Islands seeing the best of the sunshine, otherwise still remaining unsettled.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I'm doing this for the blue light personnel. And
I'm just saying that's the police. That is all military personnel, fire and rescue,
nurses,
prison wardens, you know,
Correct.
so
Correct.
you're doing very well there.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you. I think they deserve. And in a moment where we have a very difficult economic climate, you know, I think that is the best thing I could do. And it's not for one day, it's for the rest of my working life.
So, but they have, is there a free day today? Or so what's happening today specifically?
Today, there is a lunch for hundreds of service personnel in Minori, in Hatchend, and it's free meals for all of them.
That's lovely.
As a sign of gratitude.
And then going forward, it's a 15% discount.
That's correct.
Put it in context for people who just sort of, to give a bit of history about who you are and who you've worked with and whatever. You began, was it the Savoy Hotel in London?
I started at the Savoy.
Did you rub shoulders with anybody famous there?
Oh, a lot. Charlie Chaplin, Sophia Loren, Anthony Quinn, Victor. I could go on and on and on. But my very favourite was Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah. Really?
Yes.
That must have been, he's a world icon, really. I mean, to have met him and...
It's not met them. I built up an amazing relationship.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So what did you do? Were you a restaurant owner there, or were you working as a chef there?
No, it's funny. I was a night luggage porter.
Oh, really?
And it was my choice to be a night...
So you weren't a chef?
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Well, it's 12:45. Welcome back to the Michael Portillo show, but with me, Emily Carver. Now, away from the politics, or is it? The Winter Olympics. They're in full swing in Italy. Many competitions already underway. But protesters campaigning against the environmental and economic impact of the Games apparently turned violent. Yesterday, 100 people threw firecrackers around that, smoke bombs, bottles at officers, police firing tear gas, water cannons. I mean, look at those scenes. Are these protests at risk of overshadowing the Games? But before we get into this, actually, I must say that I'm an avid skier. Definitely was as a child and a teenager. And Lindsey Vonn, the American skier, she had a ruptured ACL. Now, she's 41 years old, absolutely incredible skier. She decided to do the women's downhill competition with her knee ligament ruptured. And unfortunately, very soon into her run, she's had another crash. So wish her all the best. But let's head over to Italy and speak to the Italian journalist Angela Corias, who joins me now. Angela, thank you very much indeed. I mean, those are dramatic scenes we just played.
True. In Milan, there have been several protests yesterday because protesters are claiming that these Olympic Games, that they are not sustainable under an environmental point of view, because there were several large trees that were cut down to make space for these Olympic venues. And also because they are protesting against what they call waste of public money, because initially the Olympic Games, they were promoted as low cost, with an initial estimate for like around 1 billion, 1.5 billion, while now it seems they have already cost some 5-6 billion euros. So these are also the protests, along with the arrival in Italy of the ICE agents together with the Vance and Rubio.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't personally known the Winter Olympics to be a place for political protest. I'm sure it has happened in the past, but I don't remember ever seeing something quite dramatic as this. And as you say, protests even against Israel, protests against these ICE agents, United States, protest against J.D. Vance and the like. It takes away from the sporting achievement? I don't think so.
This is what Meloni and Salvini are talking about. They are saying they are accusing the protesters of being enemies of Italy. Also, those who sabotaged the railway around Bologna, in the Bologna and Venice line, and the Ancona and Rimini lines with the severing cables and also fires. And they are saying that still the Meloni is claiming that this will not tarnish Italy image.
Yeah, I mean, there's clearly a lot of unhappy people out there. To see the police response as well, how is that going down with the Italian public in general? Are most people absolutely not behind these protesters?
The protest started peacefully. Then some started with the violence, but there were several arrests also because yesterday with the sabotage of the railway, many people were blocked for several hours, and they suffered like hours of delays.
Well, Angela Corias, thank you very much indeed, Italian journalist. I wish Team GB all the very best, and I hope the Games continues on as it is. We've got figure skaters, we've got curlers, we've got the skeleton, which is essentially going head first on a metal tray. I mean, it's absolutely incredible what these people do. The downhill skiing, the slope style. Absolutely love the Winter Olympics. Let me know if you're tuning in as well. But it's nearing the end of the show. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon for this one-off covering my poor Portillo. But as you'll know, it is, of course, the one and only Dawn Neeson, who's on the channel next. Dawn, fabulous to see you.
Hello, welcome back.
How are you?
So good to see you, and a brilliant job as always. It's like the old days, remember, when we were doing shows together, and they were the days, fun and games.
What do you make of what's going on at the top of government right now?
Oh, it's just insane. It's just insane. I mean, every day you get up and you think, I can't really imagine what's going to happen. You can't make it up. I mean, if you're writing this, I'm a tabloid journalist, if you're writing this as some kind of spoof, you couldn't get it as mad as it is at the moment, could you? It really is. And you know what I keep coming back to, Emily, with all of this, the victims in this, the bottom line, the victims in this scandal, the political scandal that's going on at the moment, the victims in the grooming scandal that people seem to be ignoring still in government, and the victims of the illegal migrants that are coming over here on the boats are all women and girls. And I'm just getting so angry about it, Emily. I really am. And the people in power...
What we're going to be talking about today, then.
That's going to be one of them. That is going to be an aspect of it. And we've also, talking of women and girls and the abuse, we've also discovered, I was doing a deep delve into the Epstein files overnight, and I wouldn't advise it. It's stomach-churning. Also discovered a strand of this story that no one has spoken about yet.
Do
and
tell.
we really... No.
Oh, it's going to be revealed.
Stay tuned. But it's stomach-churning, Emily. And I advise you, if you're a woman or a girl, or even if you're a decent man out there who loves a woman or a girl, then please do watch, because it is really, I'm shocked. As you know, I'm morbidly fascinated by what's going on with this story.
It's quite incredible. I was thinking we were looking ahead to see what could happen next. So, OK, Keir Starmer, perhaps he's on his last legs. Perhaps he's only here for another week, 2 weeks, a few months.
Well, I keep checking my watch.
After the local elections or whatever.
Will he last to the end of my show?
Dawn? Who comes next?
This is the $64,000 question. Everyone's saying, be careful what you wish for. And I'm saying, we can't be any worse than we actually are. We're talking about a caretaker Prime Minister. Maybe David Lammy? I mean, David Lammy today, right, the front page of the Times or the Telegraph, is it saying, well, I warned Keir Starmer about what Mandelson was like. And it's like, Well, hold on. I mean, just 18 months ago, you were saying he was brilliant and the best man for the job.
Around, singing his praises,
yeah,
was he not? Genius move.
What on earth? It's the sheer hypocrisy of this, of where we are now, and the fact that everybody knew. I mean, everybody knew. It's like, you know, Keir Starmer saying, "Oh, I didn't know what was going on." It's like, read the papers, watch TV. Talk to your security services. MI6 knew about this 15 years ago.
The thing is, it's sort of irrelevant, the vetting process, really. This is about the man's judgment.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, he gave him the job before the vetting process was even completed.
Well, quite.
It's absolutely insane. So you'll be looking forward to going back to mummy duty and having a break from the madness of here. Because baby George, who is, I have to say, everybody, the cutest baby ever. He's absolutely just been playing with him outside. But he
Who does he look more like?
Oh, God, Patrick asked me that as well. But he is going to make far more sense than any of our politicians. So I am actually going to go for baby George for the next Prime Minister.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. No pressure. No pressure on poor George, Dawn. Everyone should stay tuned, of course, for Dawn's show. It is, of course, from 1 till 3 this afternoon. Stick with us, but let's get to the weather. And thank you very much for all your kind messages.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. The weather is set to stay unsettled through much of the coming week. There's going to be further spells of rain and showers, and that does unfortunately mean there will be some flooding issues in parts of the UK. So low pressure dominates, further weather fronts pushing across the UK at times, and it will be fairly breezy as well. But back to this evening, and there's already a number of showers pushing eastwards and northwards across the UK. Some longer spells of rain at times overnight as well. But where skies do clear briefly, with the winds being quite light, I am expecting 1 or 2 isolated mist and fog patches to form by the morning. But with the cloud amounts fairly high in general, I am expecting it also to be largely frost-free, perhaps just a touch of frost in the very far north of Scotland later in the night. But for northeastern parts of Scotland, well, we've still got some very strong southeasterly winds, possibly even touching gale force for Orkney and Shetland. And here, more general outbreaks of rain through the night and begin the day on Monday morning as well. Further spells of rain across other parts of mainland Scotland, but something a little bit drier, I think, for parts of Northern Ireland, and certainly many parts of England and Wales in the central areas in the east will get off to a largely dry, albeit quite cloudy start with just the odd shower. And here the clouds should tend to break up a little bit more widely as we go through the course of Monday. So I'm hopeful they'll be seeing some brightness or sunny spells by the afternoon for the Midlands, East Anglia in the south east. But look out towards the west. Here we have this another area of fairly heavy rain pushing in for the afternoon. So a rainfall warning coming into effect for parts of Wales and southwest England. Here the rain falling on saturated ground, so the potential for some flooding in places later in the day. Temperatures, though, will be above average for the time of year, so where it's not raining, it should feel relatively mild in any sunshine. The rain spreads its way eastwards across other parts of England through Monday night, and that sets the scene for a pretty unsettled week of weather to come, so a mixture of rain or showers, and temperatures will fall away, particularly in the north of the UK later in the...
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We want you to boost your bank account with an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. There's also a terrific £10,000 to spend on a Riviera travel holiday of a lifetime for 2. So whether you fancy a cruise or an escorted tour, you'll have over 30 worldwide destinations to choose from.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB19 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 27th of February. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock, only on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight.